Hi everyone, George DeSantis here with the look at the market for the week ending March 22nd of 2019. And before we go any further, as is usually the case, let's look at the disclaimer. Please read it. Be aware of the fact that I'm not a licensed professional investment advisor. I'm a psychologist. I just do this for my own edification and for those who might care to take a look at it. So let's start by taking a look at the weekly chart of the S&P to get a bigger picture of the market, to get the bigger picture. So let's begin to look at some of the trend lines, the moving averages rather. And you can see not much has changed. The 4-week, the yellow line here, is above the 9 EMA. They're both exponential moving averages. And both of these are above the 30 weighted moving average, the green line. And just above that, you see the 50-day moving average. So insofar as moving averages are concerned, the market is still in an uptrend. We'll continue to take a look at the bullish scenario first. So that's the bullish scenario. Another indication that we may still be in a bull market, and I think we are, MACD histogram is still in bullish territory. Williams per hour, the 30 period that I use, is still above that magenta line 50, the minus 50. The sum of the rate of change indicator is just slightly below the 4, before the magenta line at 4. And if we look at the RSI 12, which is even more important on a weekly chart than the other indicators above it, you'll see that it crossed above the 40% line here, just about, and it's still above the 40% line. Now, the research shows that when that RSI 12 is above 40%, you're in an uptrend or bullish trend. Let's turn now to some of the charts on Stock Charts website. And you can see this is one we've seen before. This is a new high, new low index. And you can see that it's well situated above the 50-day, the 200-day, and the 50-day moving average. So stocks are still making more new highs and new lows, up until last week anyway. Here is the impulse indicator on the S&P on a daily chart. On the daily chart, it's red now, so that we are not allowed to be buying right now according to this censoring system, saying, hey, you better watch out, don't be adding anything to your portfolio right now. Doesn't mean you have to sell what you have. Let's look at the weekly chart and you'll see why. The weekly chart shows we have a blue bar, which means we can go long or short. We could buy or hold what we have, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm holding what I have. And the reason for that is that we make our strategic decisions, whether we should be holding a stock or selling it at this point, on this weekly chart. And right now we can go either long or short. And the trend lines, as we saw earlier, the moving averages are really indicating that this market is still showing pretty good strength. And here's another chart we've seen before. It's a chart that shows the percentage of stocks above the 200-day moving average of the S&P 100. And you can see that they're both above the 50, and they're above the 50 and the 200-day moving averages. So that's quite bullish, I think. Well, let's turn to some individual stocks. Many of these I own. I think I'll run through a list that I own, and you can see why I still hold them. This is a weekly chart of Microsoft. I still own it. You can see we went up to the upper Bollinger Band, and now we have this this shooting star, very much like the S&P showed us, and so that's the reason why we might expect a little more of a pullback. Possible. The other indicators look very well. Look very good, very bullish still. I'm gonna run through the. So here's a chart of Dell. We stay with the weekly charts, and of course Dell has this nice bullish engulfing candle, and I still own it. The next stock I have is CDNS, and you can see similar kind of nice uptrend, wrote it all the way here. But it's been riding the upper Bollinger Band, so we get a little bit of a pullback from that, but it's still looking pretty good. PayPal, PYPL. PayPal, very similar looking chart. All these indicators are looking pretty good. I still own it. KUIS. Keys. See, now in this case, what happened was, and in my opinion, we rode the upper Bollinger Band, can't doing that forever, so we now consolidate, and that's where we are with this Keystone. You have a similar thing with Allergent. Allergent rode up this upper Bollinger Band, and now it's consolidating. Still hold all these stocks. Here's Etsy, nice move after the earnings, and now it's consolidating. It pulled back, upper Bollinger Band, you get a bit of a pullback, but I still own it, and it's gotten some really good reviews recently. Here's Google. Google is hitting the upper Bollinger Band. It's a bit of a squeeze here. I think it looks like a squeeze to me, and it's been riding the upper Bollinger Band going up here. I expect Google to do even better than this. Here's Fortinet. See again, it hit the upper Bollinger Band, pulled back a bit, came close to this buy zone here, and not looking too badly here at all. And the other indications here are good. Facebook, it's had its problems. It's still dealing with all the negative publicity, etc. But you can see the trend is up. I mean, the 4 is above the 9 above 30, and it's hovering just above this buy zone here. Here's Salesforce, similar kind of thing, been trending up, and now it's pulled back a bit, and it's been consolidating here. But you have what we call a bullish harami, or some people refer to it as a pregnant woman. This bar is completely engulfed by this bar. So I still have Salesforce. Adobe hasn't been doing very much since it trended up here. It's been consolidating, so I still own it. So here's iPay, IPAY. It's an ETF of payment systems like Visa, MasterCard, etc. I was talking to a friend of mine, Terry, recently, and I said, Terry, I wonder if there's an ETF that we might want to take a look at, so that you don't own one of these payment systems, but you own a whole basket, a few of them anyway. And this is one that I found. I like it. I bought some, and we'll see how it goes. And talking about payment systems, I did buy Visa again, so we'll see where it goes from here. But it's been riding the upper Bollinger Band here, pretty close to it anyway. But we still have quite a few minutes left, so I'll take a look at some of those same stocks on the Shaken Analytic software. Remember I said that they actually rated this CBRE real estate group as very, very bullish, and it was their stock of the day or stock of the week. And I took a look at it, and I didn't like the action here. It was basically consolidating, and then it dropped. So now it was oversold, and it didn't do very much since then. Now it's overbought. It's overbought now, and I don't like this fall off here of the money flow. So obviously there was some heavy selling once it got above this upper line here, this upper channel. Let's take a look at CDNS, Cadence Design, which is one that I still own. Now, interestingly enough, it's overbought on this upper channel line, but it's oversold here. I still own it. Hopefully it will continue to go higher. And the money flow, you see, is much better than the other one we just looked at. I like the fact that it's outperforming the rest of the market by nicely, and it's also very bullish. So I still own that one. I have Allergent as well. And here's Allergent, and we can see that it was oversold here, and then it made this move, and now it's come back. It became overbought, so I'm holding it anyway. And take a look at some of the other ones. Here is Salesforce. You can see when we looked at some of those charts on TC2000, we saw that we hit the upper Bollinger Band, and some of these overbought signals here are confirming that, you know, we hit the upper Bollinger Band in a sense. So you could see some confirmation here that we hit the upper Bollinger Band on some of these stocks. I still own these though, you know. Look, here's Fortinet, and a similar thing. You see, it was overbought, and so you got that little pullback. A lot of these stocks did a pullback on Friday because they became overbought. You'll see them here. See, here's another one, Microsoft. Here's Adobe. Adobe looks somewhat similar, more overbought than oversold. Google, you can see again it was overbought, but I'm not. I'm holding Google. I'm not. I don't intend to sell it. I want it to be a long-term holding for me. Here's Keystone, the one we just looked at earlier, and you can see it was oversold here and did pretty well here, and now it's becoming overbought. PayPal, which you know I love very much, so I have both PayPal and Visa now, and then I have that iPay as payment systems, and you can see that it became overbought. And those are the things we saw with the upper Bollinger Band. These stocks became overbought, so they pulled back a bit. Here's Visa. See, same kind of thing, overbought, pulling back a little bit. Etsy. Here's Etsy. Now oversold. Now oversold. You see, it did get this pullback here. It's now near the 21-day moving average. It's likely to go to start moving higher from here. And look at the money flow. Money flow holds up very nicely here. And according to some of the things we've read on Etsy, institutions are buying this company up quite well. What else do we see? Here's Dell. And you can see how Dell was oversold, took a nice run up, now it hit the upper band here, channel band. It's now overbought, but I'm not selling it. I am still in Dell. And then this one is a payment system that Warren Buffett, you may have read. Warren Buffett bought a good stake in it, I suppose. And this is one of those payment systems in Brazil. Now it's become very overbought. It was oversold here, but it's becoming overbought again. Okay, folks, that's all the time we have. So I'm going to call it a quits today, and we'll do a bit of this again next week. Hope you have a great weekend.